Tiny Toons Looniversity is a reboot of the 90s animated show Tiny Toon Adventures. So, for those of you not familiar with the original show, Tiny Toons follows a cast of younger Looney Tunes who go to a school, in this series a college, to try to learn to be Toons from the original Looney Tunes. And they're pretty much younger versions of those characters, even though they're not related. So the main characters are Bugs and Babs Bunny. They're supposed to be kind of like a younger Bugs Bunny. There's younger Tweety Bird, who's Sweetie Bird. Younger Daffy would be Plucky. So kind of like that. They're not related, but that's kind of how it goes. I don't know if originally they were supposed to be their kids, and at some point they changed it, but you know, they're pretty much kind of like younger versions of them. Anyway, they're going to school to learn to be Looney Tunes, and it's a comedic animated show that kind of follows their hijinks as they go through college, university, with all the, the things that come with college, bad roommates, picking classes, having no money, all kinds of things, as they, take these classes and hang out at their favorite coffee shop. So I grew up watching the original Tiny Toons Adventures. I was a fan as a little kid. I absolutely loved it. I remember playing the old school Nintendo game and watching the movie. I think it was a direct-to-video movie that was just a bunch of episodes combined together. I really loved it. I loved the characters. I still remember some of the skits with Plucky being a little baby, flushing things down the toilet. Very funny stuff, and I really have a little bit of an attachment because of nostalgia to these characters. So I was excited that they were making a reboot. But, when they say reboots, there's always a pause because you never know if it's going to be good or bad. But I'm happy to say I actually really enjoyed this show. They change a lot of stuff, they update a lot of the characters, but overall I think it does have the energy from the original show. It might not be exactly the same, but I think they do a good job modernizing a lot of the characters and a lot of the stuff. And I think it's a lot of fun. There were a few little things that bugged me, like the voices. I wish they had some of the original cast. I kind of understand why they didn't. It's been like 20 years, over 20 years since the original series first came out. Yeah, over 20 years. So a lot of these actors are a lot older, so maybe that's why they didn't, and they just wanted a newer cast, which is a little unfortunate because some of those voices are iconic in my opinion. I can still remember them. They had Cree Summers as Elmira, which is the character who doesn't appear, but I think all the original characters besides her appear in the show, who has this iconic voice, and you just kind of remember her. So it's a little unfortunate, but it's a little thing. The show's still good. It's not like, they remade the Powerpuff Girls and they kind of just like completely got the driven cast. I don't think it was like that, but it's noticeable if you're an old school fan and you grew up with that show, but I don't think it's a big deal. This is for a new generation, and I think they do a good job with the voice acting and everything. Like I said, I think it's overall good. It's a funny show. Like I said, there's just nitpicks of some changes, like the voices. Babs and Buster Bunny are brothers and sister in the show. In the original, they weren't brother and sister, and they kind of had a little thing where they might be dating, might not be dating, and they also had this joke where they introduced themselves, "I'm Buster Bunny, I'm Babs Bunny, no relation," which is a classic joke, and it was kind of like their catchphrase. I missed that, but I think them being twins works in this show and overall because it makes them a little bit unique and gives them a good, interesting connection because you have the weird twin angles. Like the first episode is them going to college and having separate dorm rooms, and they're like, we've never been separated before. So stuff like that gives them a good connection because then, they grew up together and they have this twin connection, which, unless you're a twin, you're not going to understand, which I'm not a twin, so I don't get it. But I think it works for their characters. I think it was that nice, good change instead of just making them love interests or something. So it makes them more unique in that aspect, which I actually liked. I think the show was made with love. I like that they have a bunch of obscure characters in here, like Cool Cat and Merlin the Musician. They're two Tiny Toon characters, or Looney Tune characters, who appeared like later on, like they appeared in the 60s, and they weren't very popular characters. It was when the studio was going through some troubling times, and they were trying to create new characters to get more people to like their stuff, and they didn't really catch on, so they had them in there. In this show, which I really appreciated, because I was like, oh, I recognize those characters. They're not like mainline Looney Tune characters, so you can tell there is some love, and the people who made this show know these characters, I believe, which I really appreciate. So overall, I think it's a fantastic show. It is fun. Not every episode hits, but that's like anything else. It's comedy. It's subjective. So some jokes are going to be funny, some aren't. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing these characters again, updated for modern times. I hope they get a few more seasons, because this wasn't a bad reboot. It wasn't even an awkward reboot, I would say. There was sometimes I felt like it was, but I think overall it nailed it. It's a good show. It's a good reboot, modernization of these characters. Not that they're very old, but times have changed from the 90s to now. Things are very, very different. Shoot, hasn't 30 years? I think it's over 30 years since that show came out. Yeah, not 20, over 30 years. Yeah, so the show's over 30 years old, which is insane. So yeah, it's been a while, and I guess the 30 years is definitely a good amount of time for updating things. But overall, like I said, I think they nailed it. The little things that I didn't like are nitpicks, like the voices, the changing some character aspects. I didn't like that Elmira wasn't in the show. There's not a lot of villain characters in the show. Just Montana Max shows up for one episode. He's like a villain character who's Yosemite Sam's kind of counterpart character. And Elmira's Elmer Fudd's counterpart, but I understand why they didn't put her in here, because in her thing is that she loves animals so much that she captures them, and then she doesn't take care or good care of them and ends up killing them. So she kind of has like a big pet graveyard, and that's kind of her joke. But I think modern audiences might not like that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't, that this girl is going around killing them. I definitely think they could have updated her to make it work, that maybe she just try to capture them to have her own like little zoo or something. Still kind of like antagonistic, but not necessarily killing all her pets and animals. I think they could have done something. So it's unfortunate that she's not in there, but again, it's a nitpick. It doesn't really change the show a lot. Like I said, almost all the original characters are there besides her, I want to say. And they add a lot of the Looney Tunes to fill out the show, and they have a lot of original ones who I don't know if they're gonna come back. I don't really care for them too much. I didn't think they were anything super special, but they were fine. I think with more screen time, I might like them. Like I mentioned, Cool Cat was kind of shown in the show. His son comes up in it, Chill Cat, which is the modern version of him. And at first he kind of irked me because he was a little too modern with his hoverboard and everything and his apps and stuff. And I'm just like, you're kind of dating yourself a little bit, I feel like. Because until this point, I think everything was pretty just kind of like, you couldn't tell. They didn't have, I don't remember them using cell phones or anything like that, so it wasn't like dating themselves. So that kind of bugged me a little bit, but at the end, I kind of liked the character. He was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, this is a good modern twist, kind of like the rest of the Tiny Toons. That's, he's cool, Cat's version of, a younger version, more modern version of them. So I like that. Again, those are just nitpicks. But overall, I like the characters. Like I said, it follows the main cast: Bugs, Babs, Sweetie, Hampton, Plucky, which I love Plucky. Plucky was my favorite character from the original show, and he still has it in the show. He's still funny. He still has his attitude and everything. I think they nail him probably better than in the original show from what I remember. It's been a while since I've seen that show, but he's fantastic. I also absolutely love him in this show. He's still my favorite character. I think they definitely did a good job. So I think people will enjoy this show. Like I said, it's just a comedic show. It's a lot of fun. Nothing crazy. There's not overarching story or anything. It's just a fun show. Another nitpick I would have was that I wish they kind of strayed a little bit from the school stuff. They're a little too attached to the school, which obviously is the premise. But I like some of the stuff where they're not necessarily just doing the school stuff. But overall, just little things. It's a fun show. I like the characters. I think the comedy hit most of the time for me. I love to laugh, so I think it was fantastic. Great animation. There's some good scenes in there. You know, it's nothing super crazy in advance, but it's fantastic. Fantastically animated, great characters. You know, funny. That's what the show was meant to be, and I think it works. It nails it. I give it a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's a good show. It's good, solid fun. It's already been they already have a second season. I think it was already approved for a second season, I want to say. So we're definitely going to get more episodes. I think they show it on Cartoon Network, and it's on HBO Max right now. Just 10 episodes, so it's a quick, fun watch. Short episodes, about 22 minutes each, so nothing too crazy. I do recommend you watch it if you love the original show and you just want to see how these characters are doing, or if you just want to, you know, put a show in the background or something. I think it's fun. You'll miss out some things, but, you know, definitely give it a watch. Thank you for watching. If you watched the show, did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you a big fan of the original? Is this, you know, another big bad reboot? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.